Hi, honey. We're talking about prenatals today because
hmm
we,
We we see this, right? We keep getting so yesterday we found out that one of our clients who has had a really hard time getting pregnant is pregnant. And it's interesting because every time we get these emails and messages, we obviously get excited and we love the baby pictures later on. That's actually my very favorite part. But the initial email is awesome of like, I'm pregnant, what should I say on that kind of thing. And when we get those, it's just been this pattern for the last 2 years that they're all taking a really good prenatal. So we want to talk about what a really good prenatal looks like, right?
and there are so many options on the market. It can
Mhm,
be really, really confusing. Some of them are branded beautifully, but don't necessarily have what
mhm,
we're looking for in a prenatal. And
mhm,
also to remember that there's fluidity throughout the pregnancy, throughout the fertility period, and throughout the pregnancy. So the needs of the woman changes. We're not going to address all that in this part, but we're going to address in this very part what we want to see in your prenatal.
and I think we have actually got to the root cause and fixed a lot of women's issues, whether it's recurrent miscarriage or just not getting pregnant or not ovulating, whatever those issues are. I think we fix them sometimes by putting them on a good prenatal. So it's amazing that we still have people who've been trying to get pregnant for years or get that second or third or fourth baby for years, and they haven't really looked at their prenatal nutrition. So we want to start there and give you some information so you can start addressing that. And then the general recommendation is to take a prenatal for 3 months before trying to get pregnant. And that is a good piece of advice. It's nice to build up your folic acid or folate. Folate's the natural form. Folic acid is the form of folate we build in a lab. And we have lots of data on that, and people need to be on that in pregnancy. And so 3 months is the general recommendation. We really want to see people on it for 6 months, right, Hillary? Because we believe that these basic nutrients, these building blocks for hormones, for all your processes of implantation, for your uterine lining, all these things that are struggles for people sometimes can be fixed with a good prenatal. So we just want to make sure everybody's really on top of what is a good prenatal and what should I be looking for. So the first thing is if you go to your OB and you get a prescription prenatal, I'm just going to say it. I've never seen one that I like. I've never, ever seen a prescription prenatal that I think is totally adequate. Sometimes they're good and they fill in the gap on the folate or folic acid. Um, but in general, a one a day pill is just not going to do it here. A gummy is not going to do it here.
That's why I was like, the starting rules are you
Right.
cannot put these things into one a day and absorb anything. You cannot. It just doesn't
You
exist. And
don't
Kara and
you don't get the levels. Yeah.
I labs on women looking at their nutrient absorption and like a red blood cell zinc, and they're taking a prenatal and they're just not absorbing the zinc, which is a crucial mineral for you to have, vitamin for you to have for many, many things. Like zinc
Mhm.
is crucial for thyroid function. Zinc is crucial for fertility. We find it low in many women who are taking one a day. So you just can't absorb it well in a one a day.
If you want to ovulate optimally, zinc is required. And this is really interesting because you and I have done this. Not everybody listening is going to look at the big data, big research studies across the United States, looking at women, and they grab women in various inner city, rural. They just grab these women at different clinics and do blood draws on them and do urine tests on them, and they kind of look at like what is the nutrient status of this group of women, and consistently across the board, no one has everything they need. So this is the first thing that's hard for us to swallow. We spend so much time on diet and nutrition and making sure the quality of our food is really good. And I'm sorry to say that we cannot get all our nutrients that we need from food. And here are some examples. This is real data out there. Choline is consistently low in women of reproductive age. They just check women's levels, they're low. Zinc, like Hillary was saying, is always, comes back as a really concerning nutrient. Magnesium, we think might be the one we see the most, right, Hillary, when we actually look in, do testing on our clients. Iron is often low in women and not optimal in women. We have B6, we think is often low. Vitamin D, vitamin E, calcium, and folate. Those ones, that's a lot of nutrients, right? And that's just from looking at random clinics, and they grab women of reproductive age and they do testing on them. And then
And part of
Hillary
the
and
setup is, sorry, part of the setup is that birth control can really mess up with the absorption and deplete many of these crucial, necessary minerals and vitamins for fertility and pregnancy. So like if you're on birth control for 10, 15 years, and you're a woman who's also maybe had an eating disorder and went through a period where she was wildly underweight. All these things happen all the time to women that we're working with who try to get pregnant now. Or she was a cigarette smoker in her 20s, or she drinks a lot of, whatever. She hasn't taken a multivitamin. She's been on birth control. She drinks coffee to stay skinny and smokes cigarettes. You are going to go off the pill, and 3 months is probably not going to be enough for you from a prescription prenatal. And so we want you to be really looking at this before, even when you're on birth control and you are thinking, I want to have a baby next year, get yourself on a high quality prenatal.
Yeah. So the pill is one of the most common medications women of this age group.
We should say birth control, whether it's in a Nuva ring, an oral pill, any kind of birth control. Sorry.
And so it will deplete these nutrients like zinc and magnesium and folate, these things we're talking about that are really, really important for getting pregnant, optimizing fertility and early pregnancy. And so there's many other medications that also will lower these numbers in your body, the ability of your body to absorb these things. For instance, if you're on an acid blocker, which is very common these days, people have reflux and they're just on medications to stop that acid burning thing, you typically see zinc deficiency, iron deficiency, B12 deficiency. Those things are lower in those people. So we have to think about, it's beyond just our soil is depleted of these nutrients, so it's not getting in our foods. Even if we're buying from a community supported agriculture or organic. I was sharing with you, Hillary, recently in another talk we did about 2 patients I have who really do grow their own food. I live in Connecticut. Some people are amazing at gardening. And I have had 2 patients in just the last little bit that I've done their nutrient tests on. And both of these women are so dedicated to the soil quality on their land where they're growing the food. And it's incredible that both of them came back with so many nutrient deficiencies. And it was a blow to them because this is hard work, right? They're spending all the warm months gardening. I mean, they're out there farming, gathering food, preserving it, freezing it, doing everything they can to get the best quality food. And they are really eating like most of their diet from their own land. And they have all these nutrient deficiencies. So they're saying, what's going on in the world? And one of the answers is, maybe it is our modern lifestyles and stress and running around and all of this that we can't absorb the nutrients well. But even if you pay such close attention and dedication and you love your soil, and I mean, you're really thinking about it, it's very hard to get these nutrients out of our plant foods at this time. So anyway, that's just a thing to think about because we come all the time and look at our patients' blood work, and our patients eat so well. I mean, they're amazing. They put so much effort into their diets, right, Hillary? Yeah. Yet we still have nutrient deficiencies.
Our fertility patients are literally probably in the top 1% of people's devotion to diet. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Absolutely. I am always learning things like recipes, way to sort of up level certain foods from the people we work with. They're just incredible, good researchers, and it's so amazing. But still, you need a really good quality prenatal. So the other thing about the prenatal that I think can help you if you're saying, oh, I have to take 3 or 6 or 7 pills a day to get everything I need while trying to get pregnant or while pregnant, is that, this really does have good data also to support that the baby is going to be healthier, which of course is what you want, but also the mama is healthier. So it's just so important, right? So you can reduce risk of miscarriage by taking a really good prenatal. I mean, that's actually established in the research. So it's one of these things where people are like, why am I having miscarriages? Sometimes it's just, we get them on such a good prenatal and it works, right? And then decreasing anxiety and depression, I think, is a really important point because we just have these things. This is our lives these days, like most people are struggling. It's hard to live well, be happy, get enough rest, not feel, the stress, anxiety of our lives. And so getting the proper nutrition in your prenatal can really help with that and potentially prevent a postpartum depression or anxiety picture, something like that. So that's like, I mean, these are motivating things. What about preventing gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, low birth weight, premature birth? Like all of those things are actually well established, connected with taking a really good prenatal. So anyway, that's the gist of it.
Well, let's get in our next series, part two in this series, we'll go through kind of nutrient by nutrient, what it does
Mhm.
and why it's important. But if
Mhm.
you're having a hard time getting pregnant, well, one, considering getting pregnant, having a hard time getting pregnant, or have had a miscarriage, you need to understand your nutrient density. I
Mhm.
know you see it, people screaming about it on Instagram and Instagram reels, but like it can sometimes be that basic. And we
It's
sometimes come and our patients are like, in the deep
Mhm.
weeds about more complicated issues that could be causing miscarriage or infertility. And literally, their zinc is low, their iron is mildly low, everything is a little bit low, and
Mhm.
their fats are a little low. And then we boom, bump them up, and all of a sudden they're much more receptive to getting pregnant. Like these nutrients are a huge part of the puzzle.
Yeah, so I'll just leave with maybe one nutrient to kind of talk about, which is that B6. B6 is a B vitamin we just don't think about so much in our culture. In nausea and pregnancy, vomiting and pregnancy, we give people B6. So potentially taking it in your prenatal before for maybe 6 months could potentially lower your risk of having nausea and vomiting in pregnancy too, which is phenomenal. And I just want to say that there's a specific form we know of B6 that we like, which is called P5P. And so looking on your label and seeing, do you have P5P in about 10 milligrams daily is something to just look for in your prenatal. And it really is important for progesterone. We deal with many people with luteal phase defects and low progesterone. And so we think that's affecting implantation in the uterine lining. B6 can help the uterine lining, can help implantation, and it's often very low in women. So looking for that might be something just to like bite, check it out today, see what you think, and then come back next time for more on the specific nutrients we're really looking for and the levels. Thanks, Phil.